Part 1. The Miletus Sunrise. The first revolution. Revolution of reason. In human history. To fully understand Western thought origin, we must travel back in time to 7th century before Christ. Set our feet on Ionia coast, Western Asia Minor. Not just geography, but great laboratory of history, where economic conditions, political and cultural conditions converged fully to create explosion in perception. Before this moment, the Greek world, in ancient eyes, was chaotic stage of gods, mysterious and chaotic. Every natural phenomenon, thunder from Olympus, the god Zeus, fierce ocean waves, the god Poseidon, explained by subjectivity, by divine anger, or divine joy, of supernatural beings. Mythology was operating system unique, of the society, helping humans soothe the fear before the unknown, but also imprisoned in passivity, in total submission. However, the rise of rich city-states, especially Miletus city, changed history trajectory forevermore. As trading hub, busy maritime center, Miletus became brilliant cultural intersection between Greek civilization and ancient knowledge from Egypt land and Mesopotamia region. Craftsmen and merchants, navigators in Miletus, absorbed mathematical techniques, practical astronomy knowledge from the East. This cultural collision pushed them forward to ask subversive new question, questioning old beliefs. Is there principle, objective natural principle, behind the diversity of things, without divine intervention? This was history moment when reason started rising, challenging the myth, replacing the mythology. The brave pioneer opening path, cognitive revolution path, was Master Thales, later honored as the first philosopher of human civilization. Thales was not just quiet thinker, he was scholar, a versatile scholar, one of seven ancient sages, from merchant family, rich Miletus family. He spent years of youth, traveling to Egypt and Babylon land, studying hard geometry and astrology knowledge. History records him as the first, calculating pyramid height based on shadows and predicting accurately the solar eclipse in year 585 before Christ. But Thales' greatness lies not in massive knowledge gathered, but in thinking about nature, thinking about essence. When Thales boldly asserted that water is arche of all, he made giant intellectual leap, unprecedented in history. Instead of saying, God molded world from the nothingness, he sought substance, real physical substance, observable by senses, with high universality. For Master Thales, water is everywhere, around our lives, in germinating seeds, in living blood, maintaining every creature, in weather cycles of atmosphere. This view seems primitive now to modern science, but in darkness. Darkness of age. It was manifesto. Brilliant reason manifesto. Manifesto of freedom. Asserting strongly that universe is order. Order understood by logical reasoning, by causal analysis, instead of belief, blind dogmatic belief, in oral traditions. Continuing the torch of Thales, the master thinker named Anaximander, led Milesian school to new height of generalization and metaphysical thought. Anaximander saw flaw in teacher own theory. If everything comes from water, how can water create its opposite? How to create the fire? Any specific material carries limited traits and would neutralize each other in the nature. From sharp observation, he proposed concept. Bold concept indeed. The apeiron concept, meaning the boundless, the indefinite substance. For Master Anaximander, apeiron is eternal, without a beginning, without an ending. It encompasses all, is deep origin of existence, where things arise, where things dissolve, returning to source. This is first in history. Philosopher using concept, a metaphysical concept, beyond material world, beyond tangible things, to explain universe own structure, not stopping there. In abstract thoughts, Anaximander showed mind, excellent scientific mind, the first person, drawing world map, inventing the sundial, making early hypotheses on evolution of the life. He argued life started from mud, from moist earth, under heat impact, and the humans' origins from fish, deep under ocean. Anaximander own thought shows intense desire, building consistent system, explaining the universe, where natural elements struggle and compensate each other by inevitable law of time, absence of punishment, or divine blessing. Final puzzle piece, completing the picture, Milesian thought picture, was philosopher Anaximenes. Seeing the apeiron, too abstract concept, hard to grasp, Anaximenes made effort, pulling philosophy closer to reality, choosing the air as ultimate arche. He argued air is universe breath, just like soul, maintaining human life. Air encompasses all, supporting all things in the nature, but epoch-making contribution lies not in material choice, but in mechanism of transformation of matter, rarefaction and condensation. He explained logically, when air thins under heat, it becomes fire. On the contrary, when air cools and then condenses, it becomes wind. It becomes clouds, flowing as water, hardening as earth, and finally stone, compressed into stone. By this mechanism, Anaximenes laid great foundation for important scientific principle. Constant quantity change leads to change in quality. Three great thinkers of Miletus city, choosing different arche, water or apeiron, or the air, but they shared scientific spirit, eternal scientific spirit. They proved together. Universe is machine. An objective machine. Self-operating by laws. By internal laws. And human intellect. Has full capacity. To decode machine. Birth of school. The Milesian school. Not just steps. Scientific baby steps. But a revolution. Reconstructing human identity. Human thought identity. Marking the end. End of era. When humans bowed. Bowed in fear. Before mysterious fate. To stand proudly. In autonomy era. Where truth belongs. Belongs to logic. And practical evidence. When we learn. Learn to question. Nature of things. Like Milesian philosophers. We perform ritual. Soul purification ritual. Removing every prejudice. And vague fear. To live life. Life of awakening. True philosophy lies. Not in words. But in courage. Extraordinary human courage. Daring to look. Look at reality. Reality own mysteries. Through reason eyes. Finding absolute freedom. In own thought. Amidst vast universe. Universe without limits. Part 2. The Pythagorean School. And the harmony. Of divine numbers. When mathematics becomes. Language of universe. After first seeds. Seeds of reason. Sown in Miletus. Greek philosophy journey. Performed magical transformation. From Ionia coast. To South Italy. Where new school. School appeared suddenly. Changing human perception. Perception of reality. Miletus philosopher trio. Thales or Anaximander. Sought the answer. Answer for material. What world made of? But Pythagoras and his disciples. Asked deeper problem. More abstract problem. How universe structured. Pythagoras was born. Born in Samos. Around year 570. Before Christ era. Not just mathematician. A brilliant mathematician. But also theologian. Powerful spiritual leader. After wandering years. Studying in Egypt. And Babylon land. Where he absorbed. Mathematical ancient essence. And astronomy knowledge. Pythagoras then returned. Establishing special community. In Croton city. Not just school. But religious association. Political and disciplined. Where mathematical knowledge. Considered supreme key. Key to release. Release the soul. Reaching immortality state. Core bold point. In Pythagoras' thought. Was the assertion. All things are numbers. For their school. Numbers not symbols. Symbols for counting. But the essence. Principle constructing reality. Constructing objective reality. Pythagoras observed that every cosmic phenomenon, from celestial movement in the sky to music melodies under the ground, followed mathematical ratios. Strict mathematical ratios. He performed experiments. Epoch-making experiments. On the lyre. Proving the difference. Between harmonious sounds. Or discordant sounds. Depends on ratio. Ratio of string. String length ratio. From this discovery. He proposed hypothesis. A great hypothesis. If music is math. Then the universe. Is giant harmony. Of divine numbers. They worshipped 10. Absolute perfection symbol. Represented through tetractys. divine tetractys triangle. Studying mathematics then. Not just material, but spiritual journey. Purifying the intellect. Helping humans escape painful reincarnation. Merging with order. Eternal cosmic order. Shift from matter to number. Marked giant step. Human abstract thinking. Pythagorean School introduced. Concept of harmony. Balance between opposites. Finite and infinite. Odd and even. Stillness and motion. They argued universe always moves now, in delicate balance. And human task. Training the ethics. Training the intellect. To reach harmony. Birth of doctrine. Music of spheres. A deep belief. Planets moving now. Creating wonderful sounds. Mortal ears cannot hear them. Monistic cosmic view. From micro scale to macro scale. Closely linked together. Mathematical connection fibers. Unbreakable connection fibers. Philosophy went far beyond basic observation. Entering eternal truths. Laying firm foundation. Theoretical mathematics and theoretical physics. Life in community. Full of rules. Harsh and esoteric. Disciples spent years in absolute silence. Training the concentration. Training the humility. Pursuing pure life. Being vegetarian now. Believing in immortality. And soul reincarnation. Pythagoras believed soul is divine entity. Imprisoned in body. Only mathematical knowledge and strict ethics can help soul. Finding original nature. Math became religion. Religion of reason. Where numerical precision equals moral holiness. Political events happened. School was dissolved. But thinking muscles remain immortal legacy. Influencing great minds. Plato or Kepler. And Master Newton. Pythagoras journey teaches. World not random. Not chaotic events. But sophisticated system. Harmoniously beautiful system. Looking at numbers. Not just calculations. Seeing cosmic breath. Operating in cells. Cells of reality. Their philosophy reminds. To understand self. To understand world. Seek deep patterns. Patterns below matter. Training disciplined mind. Living moderate life. Heart seeking truth. Only path left. To reach freedom. True human freedom. South Italy legacy. Remains a lighthouse. Lighting human desire. Decoding the symphony. Symphony of creation. Helping us live. Helping us merge. In eternal flow. Flow of reason. Reason and beauty. Part 3. Heraclitus and the epic. Of the eternal flow. Philosophy of change. And the Logos law. After observing matter. In Miletus city. And abstract numbers. In southern Italy. Philosophical journey leads us back now. To sunny Ionia. Specifically Ephesus town. Late 6th century. Century before Christ. One mysterious mind. Proudest in history. Appeared here now. Heraclitus master. Unlike the seeking the stillness. Or unchanging arsh. Heraclitus saw reality. As constant flow. Eternal struggle between opposing forces. Named dark philosopher. Not for darkness. But for metaphors. Deep and multi-layered. Challenging shallow minds. from noble origin, in Ephesus city, gave up privileges, chose secluded life, observing universal laws, disdained polymathy knowledge, lacking depth here. Wisdom lies in understanding the logos, supreme reason law, operating silently behind world movements. First core muscle in Heraclitus thought is eternal change doctrine, summarized by saying, no one bathes twice in same river, for the river changes, and the human changes every second, every single minute, following the flow of time. If Miletus philosophers chose water or air, Heraclitus chose fire as ash. But his fire, not just matter, not ordinary element, symbol of energy, symbol of transformation and purification power. He asserted world is eternal fire, not made by gods, not made by humans, but burning itself, fading by rules. Fire is destruction and creative source, representing metabolism, the cosmic metabolism, where everything changes from one state to another constantly. This is birth of early dialectics, asserting stillness is only an illusion, motion is essence of existence. Going deeper now into that flow, Heraclitus found law, the unity of opposites. He argued life is not flat line, but a war, polemos, war between contrasting forces. For him conflict is not chaos, but creation source of balance. Without the darkness, no light awareness. Without the sickness, no health appreciation. Without the war, peace is meaningless. Opposites do not destroy each other, but define each other, relying on each other to exist together in harmonic tension. Like the bow or the lyre, this conflict creates inner power, saving the universe from falling apart, turning the world into a symphony, written with notes, fierce contrasting notes. This is robust view of reality, helping humans accept the adversity as necessary part of growth and soul perfection, key to decode all that change and that conflict is the logos. In Heraclitus thought, logos is intellect, the cosmic intellect, language of nature, that humans hear, but do not understand. Logos controls motion of eternal fire, ensuring every change follows specific order, follows specific ratio. He argued truth, not in sensations. Sensations shallow outside, but in awareness of the one, operating in many. Training the thought to understand logos is the path to wisdom and inner peace. Heraclitus emphasized the self-awakening. He once said, I sought myself. This is shift from world to inner world, asserting human soul has unlimited depth. Reason must explore. Heraclitus philosophy, not dry thoughts on cosmic science, but deep practice of healing the soul amidst changing world and many injustices. His thinking teaches us facing the change with calm attitude, active calm attitude, instead of fearing the loss, or painful turning. We understand now. It is part of flow, the eternal flow, condensation or rarefaction, of life fire. Accepting the law of opposites, helps finding peace in heart of storm. Recognizing difficulty is the catalyst to highlight strength of spirit. Heraclitus' legacy laid the foundation for dialectical philosophy, Hegel and Marx, and always remains an endless inspiration for those seeking firm point among shifting lives. When we live with logos, we are not victims of fate, but wise observers, merging with rhythm, great cosmic rhythm, living robust life, full of meaning. Part 4. The Eleatic School, and the fortress of stillness. Eternal stillness fortress. When reason denies sensory illusions. After contemplating fire, Heraclitus' burning epic, a world changing without end. We must prepare for shock, greatest intellectual shock in human history. In Elia city, South Italy region, early 5th century before Christ, philosophical school appeared, boldly declaring that everything we see, hear or touch are deceiving illusions. Central revolution figure was Master Parmenides, a giant stature. Plato later called the respected father. Parmenides did not observe material world with mortal eyes. He observed reality with dry logic, sharp logical laws. In surviving work on nature poem, he told journey on chariot, led by nymphs, to truth goddess, taught two paths, path of truth, based on reason, path of opinion, based on senses. From this point, Parmenides built fortress, the being fortress, skeleton of metaphysics, Western metaphysics backbone, for 1,000 years, core controversial muscle, of Parmenides' logic, simple but destructive. What exists exists. What doesn't exist cannot ever exist. Sounds like obvious, but consequences horrific. He argued that if something changes or moves now, it goes from being state to not being state, meaning non-existence. But the non-existent cannot be thought, cannot be real. Therefore change motion actually cannot happen. For Master Parmenides, being is one solid block, immutable and eternal, without a beginning, without an ending. Imagined reality as a perfect sphere, solid and dense, no room for the emptiness, or the separation. Diversity birth death, witnessed every day, just shallow opinions of crowd, deceived by senses. First time reason, placed in supreme authority position, denying material reality, failing logic test, separating the thought and world phenomena, founding radical rationalism, arguments too unbelievable for contemporaries. Then most loyal student named Zeno, appeared to defend Eleatic fortress with shocking paradoxes. Zeno did not prove master right, by direct explanation, but used reductio ad absurdum, assuming motion real, to show absurdity. Most famous paradox, Achilles and tortoise. Zeno argued that, if hero Achilles runs 10 times faster than tortoise, giving tortoise start, Achilles never catches tortoise, because reaching position, current tortoise position, takes some time. In that time, tortoise crawls further a bit. Process repeats endlessly. Tiny distance remains. Distance never disappears. Or flying arrow. At every moment, shortest time moment, arrow must stay at position. If at every moment still. How to move. Paradoxes gave headache to mathematicians, philosophers, over 20 centuries, until calculus birth. Partially technical solution, but philosophically speaking, Zeno successfully showed reason and senses have deep abyss, hard to fill. Eleatic School influence, a robust muscle, undeniable in history, forcing later philosophers, Empedocles and Anaxagoras, especially the atomists, seeking the harmony between immutable essence and changing phenomena. Without master Parmenides, no Plato forms, where eternal worshipped as true truth. Eleatic School taught harsh skepticism lesson, doubting eyes ears, encouraging seeking one behind the many. The messy many turn philosophy into serious mental duel, dissecting every concept under logic light, uncompromising logic light. Legacy of discipline of thought, preventing drifting away by shallow emotions or changing illusions. In modern life, full of disturbances, Eleatic philosophy brings deep healing message among shifting lives, where fame, money, and the relationships change in blink. Finding immutable being inside own soul is priceless anchor. Parmenides teaches that core values exist, internal truths exist inside every human, not affected by external circumstances. When we learn to detach from loss illusions or fleeting disturbances, we find peace, absolute inner peace, stillness of mind, understanding eternal law, training the reason, seeing through fog of phenomena, path to master our destiny, becoming solid sphere, against all storms. Eleatic children legacy remains strong reminder, truth not flowing, but exists quietly, existing eternally deep inside us. Let reason light lead you through shallow opinions, to truth fortress, living robust life, righteous and unshakable by worldly illusions. Part 5. The Pluralist School and Atomism. The great harmony between change and eternity. After fierce confrontations between Heraclitus flow and Parmenides fortress, ancient Greek philosophy fell into crisis, deep cognitive crisis. If Parmenides is right, change is a lie. If Heraclitus is right, nothing is real. In this dead end, new thinkers appeared, mission to reconcile the two extremes. They sought no longer a single arch, but multi-component systems, Pluralist School was born, starting with Empedocles. In Sicily region, a legendary figure, philosopher and politician, physician and poet. Smart solution offered, saving reason and senses. Universe is not one, but four eternal roots. Earth, water, air, fire. These roots are immutable, like Parmenides' being, but their combinations and their separations create the changing world. He introduced two forces, love and strife, philia and nakos. Love pulls things together, creating the life. Strife pushes them apart, leading to destruction. Endless cosmic cycle between these forces. Poetic yet logical, explaining birth and decay. Continuing this effort, Anaxagoras brought philosophy to cultural center Athens, laying the foundation for the Golden Age. More sophisticated view, not just four elements, but infinite seeds. The homeomeres particles. Everything contains all. Food contains hair, nails and bones. Why our bodies grow. His greatest contribution. Introducing the nous, the supreme intellect. Matter is chaos alone. Needs supreme intellect to arrange and order. Spiritual elements separated, placed as the ruler. Nous is not personal, but pure rational force, bringing wisdom and purpose. The peak solution of the conflict was the atomism, started by Leucippus, perfected by Democritus, the laughing philosopher. A stunning answer, precursor to modern physics, dividing matter forever, reaching indivisible limit, called the atomos. Tiny and solid particles, immutable and colorless, odorless and tasteless, like Parmenides' being, eternal and unchanging, but infinite in number, moving in the void, endless empty space. Combinations create things. Separations lead to death. By admitting the void, Democritus solved movement, rejected by Eleatics. Even the soul, made of spherical atoms, very fine and flexible. Radical materialist worldview, explaining every phenomenon, from thunder to thought, by atomic collisions. This system goes further into ethics now. Democritus taught euthymia, tranquility of soul, state of calm mind, no fear or desire, achieved by understanding the laws of atoms. Death is just dissolution, starting new cycle, understanding material nature, freeing from superstition and God's punishment. Tool for individual liberation, robust and honest life, empirical knowledge-based, pluralism and atomism, open scientific era. Truth lies in interaction between eternal and changing. In 21st century, full of pressure, this philosophy heals, teaching that loss, or painful turning points, are just restructuring life elements, love and strife, operating in relationships. Accepting these forces keeps inner balance. We are eternal atoms, deeply connected to all, erasing the loneliness. Train your nous to arrange mental chaos. Seek the euthymia. Live a robust life, verified and confident. Reminds us that, despite the complexity, we find harmony. Looking through phenomena, touching core laws, operating the universe. Part 6. The Sophists' teachers, and the human turn. When intellect becomes Power and skepticism tool. After searching 2 centuries, seeking cosmic ultimate principles, from Miletus waters to Democritus eternal atoms, Greek philosophy suddenly made a spectacular turn. Instead of looking up, looking at starry sky, decoding the galaxies, thinkers looked into mirrors, asking about own nature and their own society. This turn linked with rise of Athens city, world brilliant political center, where early democracy required every citizen having eloquent speech and sharp thinking to win square debates. In this changing context, mobile educators appeared, the Sophists teachers, claiming as masters of Sophia wisdom, but instead of seeking objective eternal truth, they turned knowledge into a commodity, a practical tool for personal advancement and political power. Most famous figure, founder of sophist relativism, was Master Protagoras. He left a manifesto, shaking all foundations, moral and religious foundations. Man is the measure of all things. For Master Protagoras, no absolute truth exists. Truth is only relative, depending on viewpoint, on feelings and context. One wind can be cold to one, but warm to another, and both are right in own world. This thought muscle smashed the Parmenides fortress, the immutable being fortress, pulling philosophy down from metaphysical clouds to dusty everyday ground. Protagoras taught that human task is not seeking utopian truth, but learning to presenting persuasive opinions. He turned knowledge into a skill, turned ethics into social compromise, opening an era where better eloquent speakers possess the truth. If Protagoras stopped at relativism, Gorgias, another famous sophist, pushed skepticism further to extreme nihilism. Gorgias famous for 3 destructive points: destroying human perception. First, nothing exists. Second, if something exists, humans cannot understand it. Third, if understood, cannot communicate to others. Not just paradoxical words, but direct challenge to language power and reason power. Gorgias believed language not a reality mirror, but a tool for emotional manipulation, leading the crowds. He believed word power can heal fear, soothe the pain, or incite the hatred. Master of words is master of destiny. Gorgias' philosophy separated words from truth, turning rhetoric into performance art, and politics into a concept game. Sophists' appearance created atmosphere of skepticism, covering whole Athens, but also stimulated intense self-awareness about education and culture. First, to systematize grammar, rhetoric and logic, turning knowledge into something learnable and trained, instead of God's grace. However, their focus on personal interest above the truth, disregarding universal ethics, caused deep social crack inside the Greek heart, considered by conservatives as tradition destroyers, poisoning the youth, using fake wisdom, but in fierce conflict between sophist extreme skepticism and seeking true truth. A great figure appeared, re-establishing human soul map. That was Socrates. Though heavily criticized, Sophist legacy remains. A robust thinking muscle, teaching us that human thought has limits, truth often covered by prejudices and needs. In modern world, full of multi-dimensional information and psychological manipulation, Sophist philosophy reminds of critical thinking, understanding word power, helps not getting lost amidst hollow promises, using communication as tool for connection. Protagoras' relativism brings a healing message. Be more tolerant to different viewpoints. Each carries own measure of happiness and measure of pain. Sophist journey closed, opening a brilliant chapter. Humans not just doubting, but examining own soul. Philosophy from here, not dry formulas about atoms or air, but an art of living. Endless dialogue, seeking dignity and ethics. Master the words, but don't let words hide the heart integrity. Use reason to light your path, not as weapon against the truth. Athens' eloquent master's legacy remains a costly lesson, training robust sharp mind, but full of compassion, to walk firmly amidst rotating reality, full of worldly relativities. Part 7. The Socrates Children. Decay of Wisdom. Socrates' Death Tragedy. Year 399. Before Christ Era. Athens Democracy Tragedy. Great philosophical explosion. Ideological fragments scattered. Master left nothing. No written words. Only ethical questions about human life. Students took pieces of his thoughts, making independent schools, facing each other. A creative decay. Seeds becoming forms. Different life forms. Plato chose metaphysics, building the academy, but minor Socratics focused on practice, seeking true happiness amidst painful reality. Cynicism was shocking, started by Antisthenes, reached the peak. Diogenes of Sinope adopted Socrates' austerity, contempt for vanity, ethics in action, absolute self-control. Socrates gone mad. Diogenes lived tub, refused all comforts, rejected hypocritical conventions, called himself dog. Khion follows nature, unbound by power, used poverty weapon, mocking crowd vices. True freedom exists in primitive nature, searching for human, with daylight lamp, lifting society masks. Neuroscience shows resilience, brain seeking dopamine, in total simplicity. This is integrity. Opposite extreme school, Cyrenaic pleasure school, led by Aristippus, mastering the pleasures, seeking the satisfaction, avoiding the pain. In every moment, past is gone, future not arrived, only now exists. Mindfulness of joy. Be the master, not the slave. I possess things, but not possessed. Reason chooses joy, bringing soul peace, rejecting unhappy passions. Pragmatic life path, dancing with world, with reason feet, like Eastern presence, living in now. Megara School fusion, founded by Euclid of Megara. Socratic ethics meeting Eleatic logic, the good reality. immutable and eternal. Like Parmenides being. Evil is illusion. Absence of truth. Using logic paradoxes. Defending the view. Sharpening the intellect. Recognizing the one. Benevolence running universe. Connecting the phenomena to consistent systems. Healing modern pressure. Diogenes simple freedom. Aristippus present joy. Han Fuke in mind. Not in ownership. Master your mind. Key to stillness. Dare to dissect. Dissect your soul. Face the adversity. With robust courage. Protecting your integrity. Each day dialogue. Improving yourself now. Life as art. Art of reason. Reason and ethics. Part 8. Plato and synthesis. Synthesis of wisdom. Ancient Greek wisdom. Building eternal fortress. Fortress of forms. From historical fragments. Great journey begins. Ancient Greek progress. If Master Socrates woke human soul with skeptical questions, then Master Plato collected reason fragments. Building thinking castle. Massive and solid. Solid for ages. Not just individual. A brilliant convergence. Where knowledge flows. Flows from Miletus. Numbers from Pythagoras. Flow from Heraclitus. Stillness from Parmenides. Purified and crystallized. Metaphysical system consistent. After master death. His beloved master. Plato traveled far. Across Mediterranean Sea. Egypt to Italy. Seeking the answer. Answer to crisis. Crisis of truth. Escaping the Sophists. Shallow word confusion. Philosophy needs foundation. Foundation beyond matter. Established the academy. First real university. Training the minds. Seeing through fog. Fog of phenomena. Touching ultimate reality. Most robust muscle. Plato genius reconciliation. Between two extremes. Flow and stillness. Two-level world structure. Solving the puzzle. Level 1 world. Visible physical things. Constantly changing now. Birth and death. Like Heraclitus said. Level 2 world. World of forms. Perfect eternal patterns. Immutable and unchanging. Like Parmenides being. A wooden table. Moldering and rotting. But idea of table. Exists forever eternally. In cosmic thought. Plato proved truth. Not in matter. Not in shadows. But in ideals. Only reason reaches. Not escaping reality. But setting standards. Standards for ethics. Justice and beauty. Not getting lost. Amidst worldly relativities. Deep soul structure. Sharp psychological map. Chariot allegory metaphor. Soul 3 parts. Reason is logistikon. Will is thymos. Desire is epithematikon. Reason is driver. Controlling 2 horses. White horse courage. Honor and spirit. Black horse instinct. Lowly carnal desires. Happiness and justice. Achieved by driver. Mastering the journey. Directing the will. Restraining blind desire. Extended to society. In the Republic. Ideal state envisioned. 3 corresponding layers. Wise sages lead. Escaping the cave. Cave of illusions. Seeing truth light. Just society exists. Under wisdom leadership. Great harmony order. Profoundest legacy left. The dialectic method. Endless dialogue now. stripping away illusions, seeking core essence. In his dialogues, no rigid answers, leading through labyrinths of reasoning, reaching self-awakening, doctrine of anamnesis, the soul recollection. Learning is remembering ancient truths, seen in forms, before being imprisoned in body. Philosophy as ritual, a purification ritual, growing reason wings, flying to source, divine spirit source, father of idealism, Western idealism father, influencing theology science, over 2 millennia, modern world context, surrounded by digital and virtual, Plato healing medicine, very powerful now, if chasing sensations, temporary worldly desires, always cave prisoners, seeing only shadows, not seeing reality, training thinking power, seeking eternal ideals, integrity and altruism, and true love, building robust life with purpose, be courageous driver, using the reason, transforming the passions into creative energy, questioning social prejudices, leaving safety zones of illusions, touching wisdom light, not distant dogmas, but warm invitation, be your architect, inner world architect, life of purpose, beauty and harmony, amidst changing world. Part 9. Aristotle and the mechanism, operating earthly reality. When wisdom finds soul in every matter muscle, after admiring the castle, Plato castle of forms, brilliant but distant castle, ancient Greek philosophy journey, enters greatest transformation phase, empirical and systematic phase, under the hands of Master Aristotle, born in Stagira town, year 384, before Christ's era. Aristotle was not just excellent student of the academy, but a mind daring to critique his great master, seeking robust truth, a more realistic truth. If Plato pointed fingers toward the sky, seeking eternal patterns, Aristotle placed his hand upon the ground, upon trees and stones, even human heartbeats, to strongly assert that truth is not distant, it lies right inside this reality. He established the Lyceum, school of peripatetic steps, where knowledge was dissected, not through abstract thoughts, but through careful observation and scientific classification. For Aristotle, philosophy is no longer an escape from material world, but a deep journey into every matter muscle, to understand their operation and existence. Most revolutionary thought muscle Aristotle left behind was doctrine of form and matter doctrine, known as hylomorphism. He performed spectacular turn, arguing Plato ideas, not existing separately, not in metaphysical world, but closely linked now, linked with matter, creating real existing entity. Every object is combination between hyle the matter, raw and basic material, and morphe the form, essence creating purpose and characteristics. Copper is the matter, statue shape is form turns anonymous copper into meaningful work. This thinking erased abyss between eternity and the change, helping humans realize that noble essence lies not in separate soul, but in harmony now. Harmony of body-intellect. A robust reality view, asserting every individual is complete unique entity, where the divine exists in earthly things. Deeper into life mechanism. Aristotle introduced concept, specialized concept de anima, the soul concept, not a strange guest, imprisoned in the body. Aristotle defined soul as form of living body. He argued soul is function and purpose, making entity alive, an independent I. Vision is its soul. For the humans, soul includes nutrition, and also the sensation. But the peak is nous the reason, capacity to think, perceive cosmic laws. A powerful healing message. Body is not burden, not a chain, but tool and means. Soul performing mission, caring for the body, training the intellect. Not two separate tasks, but synchronous process. Creating righteous happy person. Aristotle knowledge symphony includes teleology doctrine. Everything in nature moves toward a specific purpose. The telos purpose. An acorn grows not by random chance. Purpose is great oak. Humans born for purpose, not existing meaninglessly. Purpose is reaching eudaimonia, the soul flourishing, training the virtues, living by reason, explaining deepest cause of cosmic motion, concept unmoved mover, not emotional religious God, but supreme rational principle, absolute logical anchor, spinning cosmic wheel, rhythmically and orderly, turning philosophy into tool, sharp analytical tool, foundation for methodology, biology and logic, science for 1,000 years. In messy modern life, humans feeling lost, lacking clear purpose. Aristotle philosophy heals. A priceless healing medicine. Each person carries form, a potential awaiting, reaching life telos. Happiness is not gift, falling from sky, but achievement from effort, training good habits, and right thinking. Slow down, observe reality. Understand your position. Finding peace and confidence. Appreciate material values, but never forget form. Inner dignity and wisdom. Stag-era master legacy. A strong reminder. No need to fly. Fly to form's clouds. To find the truth. Look at life muscles. Live robustly righteously. Turning smallest action. Step to perfect self. Amidst changing world. Part 10. Hellenistic philosophy. The autonomy era. Individual autonomy era. Reason as fortress. Fortress of soul. Alexander the Great. The Great Rise. Fall of Polis. Greek city-states. Created a quake. A political quake. Deep in thought. Man no longer. A political animal. Political animal no. With community duty. In small community. Lost in empire. Vast changing empire. Hellenistic philosophy shift. A radical shift. Metaphysics of Plato. And Master Aristotle. To practical life. Finding the ataraxia. The soul tranquility. Not intellectual play. On idea clouds. But spirit medicine. A survival skill. Individual standing firm. Before fate storms. Two main schools. Epicureanism and skepticism. building own paths, escaping the mind. Epicurus established school in Athens' garden, open to everyone, women and slaves, teaching life path, misunderstood as blind carnal indulgence, actually disciplined system, experimental and disciplined, building ethics foundation, inherited atomism doctrine, Democritus atom theory, added Kleneman concept, atomic swerve concept, straight fall atoms, suffocating fate chain, random atomic swerve, created free will, human free will, from material foundation. Epicurus defined happiness, not carnal pleasure, but aponia state, no physical pain, and ataraxia state, no soul disturbance. Divided three desires: natural and necessary, natural not necessary, unnatural not necessary, minimalist living path, internal values focus, power of friendship, reaching glorious self-sufficiency, peak of liberation, removing death fear, the humanity fear. When we are, death is not. When death arrives, we are not. Death is meaningless. Meaningless to us. Parallel with Epicurus. Skepticism by Pyrrho. Pyrrho of Elis. Seeking inner peace. Freeing the mind from intellectual dogma. Arguments on reality. Always in deadlock. Equal counter-arguments. Revolutionary act instead. The Epoché Act. Suspension of judgment. Senses are limited. Reason often deceives. Cannot know essence. Essence of things. Remaining silent instead. Neutral before claims. Ataraxia from unknowing. Not a tragedy, but a liberation. No more attachment. Attachment to doctrines. Escape the stress. Stress of defending. Living by conventions. Mentally unchained now. Rise of schools. End of classical. Classical philosophy era. Knowledge serves happiness. Personal happiness directly. Invulnerable to events. Epicurus removed gods and death fear. Pyrrho removed error and dogma fear. Man becomes universe. An autonomous universe. Self-control and strength. Supreme values worshipped. Prepared for Stoicism. Great Stoicism school. Endurance and discipline. Emperor's soul stature. World may fall. Fortress remains solid. Fortress of intellect. Freedom in perspective. Changing how we react instead. Through purified reason. The refined reason. Part 11. Stoicism and system. Roman emperor's system. When reason becomes iron discipline. Discipline of duty. Duty and virtue. When Roman Empire rose to hegemony. World master empire. Greek philosophy stayed. Miraculous transformation. Into invisible infrastructure. Infrastructure of discipline. And Roman law. Stoicism was muscle. The most robust. Robust thinking muscle. A source code. Code for leaders. Empire drivers. Started from Stoa. Stoa Poikile porch. Athens painted porch. By Zeno of Citium. Romans accepted it. Not abstract theory. But practical rules. Rules for operation. Facing the adversity. Power and death. The system's strength. Core strength lies. Dichotomy of control. Separating clearly. Inside our power. Out of hands. Soul absolute mastery. Will and thoughts. Inner reactions. External factors like fame or money, health or betrayal, betrayal by family, considered indifference, valuable but not, deciding happiness. True happiness arises. Living with nature, guided by logos, supreme reason guidance, training for virtues, wisdom and justice, courage and temperance. Roman history faces 3 different layers, representing 3 classes. Universal power proof. Seneca Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca the senator, advisor to Nero. Philosophy as dialogue, moral dialogue amidst luxury and power, dissecting contradiction, owning the wealth, keeping pure soul. Truly rich person, one who loses all things, but keeps peace. Premeditatio malorum technique, psychological preparation, visualizing worst things. Mind never yields, yielding to events. Opposite of luxury. Epictetus life path, born a slave, freed by intellect. Intellect power, control principle radical, body in chains, treated harshly. Soul is fortress, invulnerable fortress, keeping will integrity. Freedom is not doing anything wanted, accepting events. Universal order part. Reason understands, reason harmonizes. Peak transformation. Philosophy in power. Philosopher king. Marcus Aurelius. War years frontier. Facing fierce plague. Writing meditations. Self-training only. Imperial position is not enjoyment privilege, but heavy officium. Reason duty. Aim a fatty spirit. Loving the fate. Obstacles as material. Sharpening virtue. Life is battlefield. Each is soldier. Holding the position. Calmness and kindness. Stoic structure provided. Avoiding corruption. Absolute power corruption. Not falling down. Down by pain. Personal pain. Shift to technocracy. And rule of law. Management actions carry higher moral purpose. Social order reflects universal order. Stoic inheritance created solid intellectual frame. Roman law soaked. Western civilization later. Natural law concept. Cicero and jurists. Realizing Stoic reason. Establishing fairness. Social discipline establishment. Principles we inherit. Today inheritance. Citizenship and equality. Equality before law. Community duty. Not just books. Management source code. Vast empire management. Hundreds of races. Thriving under reason. Common reason sky. Civilization strength lies not in weapons. Not in gold. Converting great ideas into practical life. Robust and verified. Stoic fire burns inside those daring face reality. Unshakable mind. Each is emperor. Emperor of mind. Kingdom of mind. Living righteous life. Full of meaning. Amidst shifting currents. Part 12. Neoplatonism and the brilliant sunset of the ancient philosophy. When reason becomes a spiritual journey. Journey of the soul. When ancient era entered its final centuries here. Greek philosophy did not simply decay now, but performed final explosion. Most transcendent and mysterious. Under the Neoplatonism name. The central figure was Master Plot, born in Egypt land, teaching in Rome during the 3rd century AD. Plot was not just inheritor of Plato texts. He reconstructed whole legacy of all the ancestors, creating an absolute monism philosophical system instead, where boundaries between reason and spirituality are blurred. The Neoplatonism thinking muscle no longer focuses on state management tasks or material analysis only, but decoding existence origin and the soul path returning to source of divine origin. This is a robust and a deep system, turning philosophy into ritual, a ritual of purification, touching the transcendent realm. The supreme core in the Plot system is the one concept, the one auto hen. For him the one lies above all being, above every single definition, and even above thought. It is absolute origin, the highest goodness and the only unique reality, without any division here. Plot argued that we cannot say what the one is specifically, because every word carries a limiting nature, while one is infinite. He proposed emanation theory, explaining the cosmic formation. Without an emotional creator, without a God's action, the universe not created from the nothing, but radiates from one, like light from sun, or heat from fire. This emanation happens through a strict hierarchical order, from highest reality level to the lowest level, creating an unbroken chain of the existence. The first level radiating from the one, is the nous intellect, containing all Plato forms, where thought and object of thought are one unified entity. Intellect is perfect reflection of the one, where truth exists brilliantly and silently here. From the intellect level, next emanation is soul, the psyche cosmic soul. Soul acts as bridge between pure spirit world and tangible material world. Soul does not stand still like intellect, but moves constantly now. It is the force granting life and order to the whole universe. Finally, at lowest step, furthest from the emanation, is the matter substance. For the master Plot, matter is not evil force opposing the goodness here, but just the absence of one light. At the highest degree, matter is the darkness, the final boundary where the existence energy flow becomes the most faint. If emanation is the downward reality journey, then Neoplatonism provides man with an upward journey, the epistrophe return journey. Plot believed every soul carries a divine fragment, a deep desire for reuniting with one. This journey not reached by crude logical reasoning or by the senses, but through the catharsis, purification and transcendent contemplation. Man must train himself, separating soul from body temptations and illusions of material world. Peak of this journey is the ecstasy state, where soul transcends boundaries of the self, merging completely with one. This is ineffable experience, a divine union which Plot described as the flight of alone, alone to the alone. This thinking muscle turned philosophy into salvation path, where reason finally transcends its own self, reaching the ultimate wisdom. The Neoplatonism legacy is the most important muscle, bridging ancient world and the medieval world. The Plato system provided a grand logical skeleton for Christian theologians later, like the St. Augustine, interpreting nature of God and the human soul. Philosophy no longer was an enemy here, but became strongest tool, explaining the faith mysteries, the unity between one and diversity of things, created a thinking structure, deeply influencing Western spirit. Neoplatonism proved that even when material world is in political chaos, man always has an inner path finding order and light, the eternal light instead. This is the final epic of reason, brilliant fire lighting path for the soul in the new age, asserting that ultimate purpose of all knowledge is leading man back to the divine and unique self amidst the changing world. Part 13. Roman technocracy legacy and the legal system. The grand finale of a civilization, when reason becomes the world order skeleton. The grand journey of ancient philosophy did not end here in Neoplatonism mysteries, but found final landing, the most solid landing, inside the Roman Empire, where reason no longer is just a theory, but a technocracy tool, managing the human race. If the Greek people were soul architects, then the Roman people were reality engineers and the law engineers. They adopted whole legacy of Greek wisdom streams, transforming it into invisible infrastructure system, the Western civilization source code. This was a turn, the most decisive turn. Philosophy left the halls, stepping into public squares, into the legal courts, soaking into every stone of the vast roads. Greek rationality combined with the Roman discipline, creating an order structure encompassing the ancient world, establishing the rule of law. Humanity still inherits today the most robust muscle in Roman legacy is jurisprudence formation based on the natural law. The most important bridge was the master Cicero, using the Stoic philosophy, redefining the justice nature. Cicero argued that law is not arbitrary product of man or rulers, but the reflection of the supreme logos, operating the whole universe on the laws. He asserted eternal law, immutable and universal law, controlling human behaviors, like the physical laws, controlling the nature world. This thinking muscle turned the local convention sets into objective truth systems. The Romans materialized this through specific division between civil law use civil and the people law use gentium for all, based on reason principles. This universality helped Rome managing a diverse world, multi-ethnic and multi-religious, keeping the unity under one justice sky. Roman technocracy showed in turning philosophy into art, governance and social organization. The res publica concept, public matter or affairs, realized the ideal state of the Greek philosophers. but based on balance of the powers, and strict legalism principles. The Romans built institutions, not just the theories. They understood that for a vast world, reason must be materialized into the legal codes, administrative procedures and infrastructure structures here. The straight Roman roads, crossing all the continents, the great aqueduct systems, and the massive architectures, were not just engineering. They were physical symbols of the order and the Stoic rationality. For the Roman people, building a solid bridge or a fair law were all philosophical acts, aiming at maintaining harmony of cosmic order in the earthly world. Philosophy incarnation into law created a key concept: individual rights and duties. First time in history, man was viewed as a legal subject, with protected rights by an objective system, instead of subjective will of tyrants. The Roman jurists like Gaius Ulpian and Papinian dissected the concepts of property and contracts under the logical reason, creating the corpus iuris civilis of the Emperor Justinian. This is the densest thinking muscle, foundation for European laws and many modern nations. Roman law taught humanity that true freedom exists only within law framework, and justice is giving everyone their due, according to natural right. When Middle Ages darkness started covering the world, Roman philosophy and technocracy did not simply disappear. It flowed silently into the new kingdoms and the Catholic Church. Greek reason was preserved in the canon laws. Roman law became skeleton for the modern states, developing many centuries later. This is grand finale of a civilization, asserting that even if an empire collapses physically, its great ideas remain, existing eternally if transformed into practical human values. This philosophy project closes, but its source code continues operating in codes of the laws, thinking structures and the modern world order. The Mediterranean children legacy remains a brilliant lighthouse, reminding us that true wisdom is when we use reason light, building a righteous world, robust and full of the justice, amidst eternal history flow.